All right, we're live. Guys, thanks for tuning in to another podcast of Paris, Texas, the podcast. I have actually two friends here this time.
Yes.
I have Ashley and Brad Hilliard. They're good friends of mine. We've been friends for, a year? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I'm excited to have them on my podcast.
We're glad to be here.
Awesome.
Glad you're at the house.
Yeah, we're out at their house, so if you hear a dog, there's a dog.
There's a few.
There's kids.
Yes.
There's grandmas. There's
She got a shout out.
So if you hear any of that, then just roll with it. It's part of being on this podcast. So we're going to start this last podcast. Y'all may not have heard it yet, but last podcast, I didn't actually ask the first question to the middle of the podcast because we got to talking before we could even get to the first question. So I'm going to go right in for it this time.
Okay.
Are you guys a Parisian or a parasite?
I am a Parisian.
And I'm a parasite.
Yes,
Ooh.
yes you are.
Yeah.
Yes you are.
Now, did you did you live here when y'all met, or?
I had moved here in the end of March, and we met at the end of August.
Okay, so he didn't find you like me and my wife. I found her in
No.
No, I moved here for a job.
and then
Yeah.
I brought her back to Paris.
You held
No.
her captive
Yes. I mean, there's no other good reason why she came with me, right?
because she loved you. That's why.
And she actually loves Paris. I mean, the few times she visited, she spearheaded us coming back to Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I love it too. I'm not trying to
Right.
make it sound like I don't love
She
it.
made you come back.
Well, you didn't
Yeah.
drag her, is what you
No,
were saying.
I didn't drag her.
Kicking and screaming. Yeah.
With the club in my hand or anything.
That's right.
But
Yes.
that's awesome. And y'all have two beautiful daughters.
Two girls.
Two, yes, very talented daughters actually.
And actually, your oldest got to play alongside Liam.
She was
Yes.
Liam's grandma.
Yes. Yes. I loved every minute of it.
Yes.
In Big Fish,
She
which-
thought he was the funniest kid ever. She would just come home and tell stories about him.
And actually, at church, he's gravitated to her multiple
Yes,
times.
we
Like
love him
he's
so much.
a huge fan. I mean, there's like a million kids he could be playing with.
Yes, and
If
Kylie
you guys
walks
are
in
finds
the
the
room.
18-year-old,
Kylie
yeah.
walks
Yeah.
in the room and it's like,
Grandma. It's
Grandma.
Really
it's
Grandma.
grandma. Yes.
That's amazing. All right, tell us a little more. Tell us a little about y'all.
Wow. Where do you want me to start?
Well,
How we met?
you
Ooh.
were born here.
Yes.
And grew up here.
I was born, raised, lived here all my life. Went to North Lamar High School.
When did you graduate?
I graduated in from 1990,
That's
which
only
wasn't that
10
long
years
ago.
before me.
Wasn't that long ago. Went off to UT Arlington. Tried my little college thing. Didn't work out, so came home and started working for the family business, Hilliard and Sons Construction, and that's pretty much what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you rolled into town, and we met on a blind date.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
I thought he was a giant dork when I first met him.
I still am.
Okay,
I don't
well-
understand.
I want to go into the dork realm because we have some like
Yes.
dork alliance going
Yes.
on over here. So
Yes, we do.
We'll get there.
I've embraced it. I've embraced it.
Kimmy had
Let's
to
do it.
too. Kimmy had to too. And we'll get there. I want to get because
Yeah.
I want to go all into that.
Of course. We have to talk about that.
Yes, let's do it.
But so how did you get to Paris?
I was graduating from Texas Women's University and had started interviewing for a pharmaceutical job. And I told them I would go anywhere but South Texas. I just didn't want to be too far from home.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in Plano, and that's where my family lived. And I went to school in Denton and graduated from TWU. And I just wanted to be able to come home on the weekends. And I kind of was just trying to get my foot in the door. And they had a position open in Paris. And so I said, okay. And they moved
Didn't
me
know
out here. I
anything
didn't know
about Paris.
I didn't know anybody. I didn't know a
Wow.
soul. And
Yeah.
I was 23 and moved out here and bought a house. And just really kind of had to work a lot and just started meeting people by just working in the medical community.
So you bought a house right when you got here. Mm-hmm. That's scary.
Yes, it was
a
terrifying.
nice house.
Yeah, well, I mean, I lived in Dallas in my apartment. You can only imagine what my rent was. And so it made sense. And at the time, there weren't any rental properties like there are now. I mean, like none. There was not one place. And so the company helped me, you know. I basically told them, I'm like, you're going to have to help me buy a house because I just graduated from college. And so anyway, yeah, moved here. And I was pretty miserable for like the first couple months because I was lonely.
Okay, that's where I was going. I was going to say, was it because you were lonely?
And it was so quiet. You know, I was used to working 3 jobs, going to school full time, having friends, like literally not stopping until I crashed and then getting up and starting first thing in the morning again, you know? And it honestly was a way for God to slow me down and to make me be still.
Awesome.
Looking back at it, it really was a time for him to tell me to be quiet and to kind of reflect because I had to, and laughing, thinking about it. But my mom, one night I called her, I'm like, you have to come here. Like, I'm losing it. It is so quiet. It is loud quiet in my house. You've got to come here. And she goes, you just need to walk and pray. And I was like, I'm about to tell you about walking and praying. Like, what? But I did it because I was like, I don't have anything else to do. And I really kind of screamed more than I did anything else and just was so frustrated. Like, why did you bring me here to be so lonely, you know, and didn't really understand that that's, you know, he brought me to Paris to meet my husband. I would have met Brad no other way. Our lives would have never intersected, ever. And so that's why he did it. But I was just in the midst of that kind of chaos of not knowing why. And so I just kind of dug in, and I was working, and my friend Carrie Johnson, I met her at a travel agency when I went in to book a trip. And she was like, you know how everybody in Paris was like, so are you married? And are you from here? And blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, I have a friend for you to meet, you know? And Brad was the friend. And so I went on vacation and I came back, and there was like a big group of us that went out. And so we met that night.
So what about him made you first think that he was a big giant nerd when you first saw him?
He had really tall Doc Marten sandals on.
That's all I had to work with. That's all I had.
Like
the platform, like 1990 called and want their Doc Marten sandals back. Like, that's what he was wearing. And I just questioned everything that I knew in life at that point. And to be honest, it was funny because we had each been with friends previously, and they kind of dressed us or told us what to wear. And we both were wearing things that we don't normally wear.
Yes.
And I wasn't wearing, I mean, it was just like so awkward anyway. But he was the kindest soul I had ever even allowed myself to be around, because I just didn't date nice guys. It's not, you know, it's not what I did. That's my mom. Everybody I brought home, she was like, what color is her hair? You know, I always dated guys in Christian bands, you know, so they were the bassist and looked strange, you know? I mean, it was like, I just was one of those, like, how many piercings do they have? And I was like the ones that just kind of looked oddball. So he was really normal. So I was kind of a little wary about that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
It's okay. I like the oddballs too. My wife's hair's color changes once
I
a
love
month.
it.
Oh, yes. Love
And
it.
But
she
she's
carries
amazing.
it off.
Yeah, she rocks it. She's beautiful.
Yes. There's only certain people that can do that.
That's right.
Okay, what was your first thought when you walked in?
I was scared to death. I mean, like she said, you know, our friends like put us in these clothes. Obviously, it wasn't the right thing to wear. But yeah, I knew nothing about her. Just that where she was from and that she had just moved here, and I mean, that was it. So like, you're walking into, you know, absolutely no background whatsoever on this girl, where, you know,
This is
family or anything.
And this is before Facebook, so you couldn't
Yes.
like stalk the person before you
absolutely.
like, met them.
Yeah, couldn't do that at all. So yeah, we met up at one place, and then we ended up going to another place. And so, you know, there's probably 8 or 9 of us, maybe more than that. And all of a sudden, it's like me and Asher are kind of sitting in one chair kind of thing, kind of sharing it, and we're just kind of talking back and forth. And all of a sudden we look up and all of our friends stand up. And they look at us and they go, would you mind taking her home? We've got to go. And my first thought was, this poor girl does not know who I am.
This is not a safe environment.
I'm thinking about her. I mean, I know she's safe, but I'm thinking, what do you mean you're getting up and leaving?
There's movies that start out with
yes,
this
exactly.
A bad ending.
So I looked at her and I was like, are you okay if I take you home? And she was like, well, I guess they're all
leaving.
They're gone. I mean, they're halfway out the door. So yeah, I had absolutely no game whatsoever. So after I took her home and got her phone number and all, I remembered to get her phone number actually. I thought it was okay to wait like a week to call her. I didn't want to feel too anxious, you know. Mm-hmm. But that was wrong. That was so when I called and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I mean, she was like, she had plans for the next month, and, and I was just like, "Great." That's basically what I said. I said, "What? Just pick a time and just call me or something." And then we finally hooked up.
It was that week later because I was just actually going to Carrie's house that had set us up that night.
Yes.
And when I got there, Carrie was like, well, did he call you? I'm like, yeah, he called me, but it was too late. And I had these plans. And she's like, oh, no, you didn't. She's like, I'm calling him. You can come over here now,
Oh, yeah.
And the funny thing about that moment is that I think both of us saw what really we look like. He was wearing normal people clothes.
Yes.
I was wearing my normal people
myself.
clothes. That's right. And we were in a more relaxed setting, and just because we felt more like ourselves and there wasn't so many nerves. And honestly, from that probably moment, I don't think we were hardly apart after that because it was just comfortable, it was automatically comfortable. And I knew right away that he wasn't going anywhere. And I don't know how to explain that feeling. It was just kind of like, I knew he was going to be in my life. I wasn't quite sure he was going to be my husband, but I just knew he was like a solid person with a good heart that I was just comfortable with automatically. So that was kind of like it was like second date, but it wasn't really a date.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to meet someone is in a super comfortable setting.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like she said,
He was like 3 inches shorter too because he didn't have the Doc Marten sandals on.
I dressed
You're
myself.
the same person.
I was good.
Okay, how long were y'all together before you found out that he was a huge Star Wars fan?
Oh my gosh. Well, probably
been after we got married that you saw my ornaments.
Well, yes. I knew that he was a big Star Wars fan because of it was like after we moved you out of that apartment the first time.
Yeah.
And we were moving boxes of Star Wars items. And then I was like, okay, well, like this is kind of okay. Well, then I realized that this was just a portion and that the rest of everything was at his parents' house. And I was like, what is this? And he's like, oh, this is all of my ornaments for my Star Wars tree. And I was like, oh no, we will not be having a Star Wars tree. Well, newsflash, we have a Star Wars tree, and it's phenomenal.
Well, it took me about 4 years to get it, though, right? We didn't have it right offhand.
Oh, no, we didn't have it, like, for the first half of our marriage.
Oh, yeah.
But I also had to find the right tree for that. I mean, the Star Wars tree is a silver, like, aluminum tree. It's phenomenal.
It rocks. It's cool.
And it has a stormtrooper mask on top of it.
I've seen it.
I mean,
Pictures
it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And it's tall and skinny, and it has, it adds to our whole tree deck. And we have tons of trees. I normally do like 4 or 5 decorated Christmas trees in the house. It's my favorite thing to do at Christmas time is to put trees everywhere of all different sizes. So it adds to it. But we really do, even the girls, really, we love Star Wars in the movies and everything.
Okay, a couple questions. Had you seen them prior to knowing him?
I had seen the latest one that came out like in the 90s, maybe.
You saw the remake of the original.
Okay, yeah. When they like.
Yeah, when they messed them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she saw the remakes.
So Kimmy.
But not with anybody that knew what was going on to like explain.
Yeah.
The story.
Kimmy hadn't seen any of them, so one Christmas she finally broke down and bought me all of the ones that were currently out, and we sit down and watch them all the way through so she could catch up. And of course, yeah, same thing. This is what's happening.
Yes, and you have to ask questions. I'm like, okay, who is this person?
Right.
Why are they there? What is their role? And
Yes.
we even watched them.
So we stop it and I tell the backstory. And what's this? I go way back.
Also, so I have this hypothesis. Like, I think men that are huge Star Wars fans, at least the smart ones, like hide it.
Yes. Yes. It's kind of like a
As
dirty
long as you can.
like a big hairy mole that you don't show until after you're married.
Until you're married.
Yes. And then it's
stuck-
like,
and
you're
they're
stuck with it. You got me, sorry.
Because Kimmy didn't know that it was as intense as it is.
I didn't know that Brad had all the toys that he had gotten as a grown up, and I was like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's my what's the spaceship? I'm sorry,
Jet Star?
Millennium Falcon.
Like you had
Imperials.
a huge Millennium Falcon."
Well, doesn't everybody? I mean, I thought everybody had. I mean, come on.
Right.
I thought that was
His
normal.
mom kept everything, and I am not sentimental at all. And so I'm like, why do you have this stuff? Although I was super glad that some of the stuff that he had kept in original condition. He played with everything, so most of it wasn't collectors,
Yeah.
like it wasn't in boxes and stuff like that. But he had one figure that was like $400. He sold it for like $400.
You sold it?
I did.
Oh, goodness.
I know.
I bet that was hard.
Well, it's like, do you leave it in the attic and like let it
melt?
Yeah.
In Texas.
That was it. It kind of got to a point where it was like the girls, and even Ashley was like, What are you going to do with this stuff? I mean, I didn't have a whole nother west wing of the house I could display it or anything. And it just sat up in boxes.
You could have.
Yes, I could have.
And it's not coming into the master bedroom.
Oh, but I want the lightsabers across the...
I know.
Anyway.
I've tried to get that too. I thought in the baby's room we could have like lightsabers and
As a
different
nightlight.
colors as a nightlight.
There you
Have
go.
you seen the
Keep it
sconces that are
soothing?
Yes.
lightsabers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're way cool.
Yeah. Kimmy
Yes.
said no way.
Absolutely. No way.
Kimmy, come on.
That's fun. Yeah, huge Star Wars fans.
Yes.
Yes.
So tell me something else.
Something else.
Oh, let's talk about your new adventure that you're just, well, not just got into, but it's just expanded.
Yes. So...
The scariest thing we've ever done.
Oh, talk about a leap of faith.
Yeah.
For about 2 years now, I have been doing bicycle repair. Just kind of started it off just as fun. I love cycling, all types of cycling, whether it's mountain, road, BMX, free, whatever. Anything with two wheels, I love. And so I'd been talking with Ashley about opening a bike shop. Just never thought it would amount to anything. Well, 2 years ago, I started this little thing out of the garage, and it kind of just took off. I mean, really, like, took off quick. Got a whole bunch of customers, returning customers, and then a local person at the bank kind of heard what I was doing, or I'd texted something about the rental bikes at the Civic Center. And I thought, hey, what a great name to get my name out. I'll take care of those, and just get some publicity. Well, he said, he called me. He said, hey, come to my office. I need to talk to you. And I was like, whoa, okay. What's this all about? So, make a story short, basically, he just kind of lit a fire under me that just said, just do it. Now's the time. I mean, you've got the tour. We've got this pump track coming. You've got the trails out at the lake. I mean, this town is
Rails to trails.
the rails to trails. Yes, also. I mean, this is a cycling community, or it's growing. It's getting big, and so with a little kick in the rear and my wife and kids behind me, we recently purchased a building and starting renovations on it, and so we're going to have a full-fledged
Wow. So
bike
when does
shop.
that open?
As soon as possible.
As soon as
As soon as we can
possible.
get it
Yes,
together,
there are so many things. I mean, you got to get plans drawn, and the city's got okay, and this, and you know, I mean, we're almost, the plans are close to being done.
And you're gonna sell and repair?
Yes, we
Yeah,
will
we'll have retail.
We will have retail. We will have bikes. We'll have parts. We'll have clothes. We'll have shoes.
We'll host rides.
Yep. And so we are actually meeting. We'll be opened up or sitting in the parking lot area during the tour, trying to just meet people and get our names out and hand out cards and do hot dogs and drinks and just have a good time.
And it's CycleWorks, am I right?
CycleWorks Paris.
CycleWorks Paris.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so I heard just a little bit when we started. So Tribe, is that is that another brand or is that your brand?
No, that is a brand from, there's guys from New York City.
Okay.
A couple of guys that are just two coolest guys you'll ever talk to. Every time I call, they're like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, I've known them forever,
Like the
basically.
owners of the company.
Yeah,
Okay.
Talk to you directly.
the
It's
owner.
pretty amazing.
Talk directly to him. I'd heard about this brand. I kind of stumbled up on it in another bike shop over in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And they're different than what you'll probably expect. They're not, well, they do make a multi-gear bike, but they're mostly a single speed, which low maintenance, anybody can ride it. I mean, it's just get on it and go. And that's what I love about it. I've got a multi-gear road bike that I get out and I ride, but when my daughter said, "Hey, let's go ride bikes," well, I've got to get my shoes and my shorts and this,
Yeah.
and this, I can just get on it and let's go have fun, let's go find something to do.
Plus, it fits what this community does. You know, most people are recreational riders, they're weekend warriors, and they are expanding the type of bikes that they carry, so that will help us. But the price range is appropriate for this market too. I mean, I think their bottom bike starts at like $375. Awesome. And nowadays you can't go to Walmart or Target and buy a bike for hardly less than that. That's worthwhile. And one of the things I like the most about it is that it's American made, and that these guys are invested into the bike shops that sell their products. And so we really like that about them. They make it easy for you to sell their products because that's helpful for them.
Yeah.
They also will do like custom orders, so we can have somebody come in and pick the paint and everything out that they want, and customize it exactly how they want it. It'll be shipped to us, and Bradley can put it together, and off they go with the bike that they kind of picked and got to personalize. So
Because even if you order one on like Amazon or something like that, when you get it, you still got to put that thing together.
yes, and most of the time, if
Yes.
they're put together, even if you get them at another big retail store, they're not put together by anybody that knows about a bike.
They're just
Brad
slamming
has-
a whole bunch of them
Yes.
together so they
That's
can put
it.
them out.
Yes. I mean, I've actually done one that the forks on the front were on backwards.
Oh my goodness.
Because I kept looking at it, I was like, that doesn't look, what's wrong? Is it bent? No, they were just turned backwards. So yeah, they just,
Not safe.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
yeah.
So
That's crazy.
anyway,
Yeah.
it's great.
That's
We're
amazing.
excited.
Super new adventure in life. It's
Yes.
kind of scary.
Terrifying.
Oh,
can
it's
relate
very
to that.
scary.
I bet you can.
That's amazing.
I bet you've had to do a little free fall every once in your life. Huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole I Am Broadway thing's been quite a long free fall of sorts, but It's different, and I love it. And there's no other place, and I'm sure you can relate to this. There's no other place that like I feel like I could just be happy with everything that I do. I mean, it's not about. I mean, it's fun working for yourself, but that's actually probably the more stressful part of the whole thing is dealing with all the business side of it.
Sure.
Right.
But I don't know that I could work anywhere else, at least in Paris, Texas, and be able to do exactly what I love doing.
Right.
Which is fun. And I get to do stuff like this.
I know. How fun.
I know.
Absolutely.
To meet new
You
people.
just get to do what you
Yeah.
want to do and what makes you happy. I mean, I think that's the thing that I have wanted for Brad for so long is that, you know, he's done construction his whole life, but that's not something that you can really, that your body tolerates as you get older in this heat, and just, you know, it's hard on your body. And
So you going all in? Are you kind of leaving the construction game?
No, well, we'll just
slowly, we'll pull the Band-Aid slowly.
we'll play it by ear. See ya. No, the company that I work for now, I've talked to them, and they've said, you know, if you want to go part time
Okay.
until it gets going, which that's a big blessing.
Yeah, huge.
There. So we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. I'm so excited
Exciting.
for you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We are too.
I'm going to have to be a customer. I want to ride a bike. I just don't have one.
Well,
And I'll
we've
get
got
you
a
one.
cool one that you would love out in the garage.
And I literally live on the trail. Like my kitchen window looks out to the trail.
That's amazing.
We got to get you one now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can make payments on it.
Probably be, yeah.
No, these are affordable bikes, Bradley.
Don't tell my wife that.
Sorry, Kimmy.
No, awesome. Well, I mean, that's amazing. And thank
Yeah.
y'all so much for being on my podcast.
This is such an
Absolutely.
honor that you asked
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
We don't think we're that interesting.
Y'all are very interesting.
Yeah. I was trying to think of things to say that, like, all week long. I was like, what can I say about myself?
Brad can overanalyze any situation.
Oh my
if you
God,
would
I
like
can
to
too.
give him
Oh.
one
Yes.
to overanalyze,
Yes.
just let him know.
I can do that as well, I promise.
I will. I mean, I can't even send a text. Like,
I have to send it to Kimmy so that she can.
that's not a bad. I'm gonna start sending it to you.
Oh,
then.
bless.
I have
I
to
heard
see-
that about, was it you and, was it Cody that y'all were talking about that? About checking your text messages on one of your podcasts? I was
Oh,
listening.
because I don't want to come across as, you know, mad or, and I'm like,
Oh,
how does that sound?
emojis. That's the trick. You always add an
That's
emoji in there.
If there's a smiley face, then they know you're
It doesn't
not
even
ticked
matter if it's
off.
the cuss emoji. The
That's
fact
right.
that the cuss emoji's on there will make them laugh. So like, if you're mad, it like counteracts the mad.
I
So
agree.
like that's my go-to trick because I am terrible at like there's just no emotion. There's no
Right,
like
yeah.
like you can't like really give that exact feeling that you're trying
Yes.
to portray. And that 99% of the time, I'm just texting them back. I'm
Exactly.
not mad. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
really happy. I'm not happy. I'm not
No,
mad.
it's
I'm
just general.
You asked
Yeah.
a question, I'm answering back, and then Kimmy will read it, and she's like, "Dude, you sound like a jerk." I'm like,
I don't mean to.
I don't mean to.
Probably because you're just not fluffy. That's what I say. Like if you're not flourishing with words and you're just
Yeah.
direct and to the point,
Right.
it's hard when they can't hear your vocal flexion and what's what your face looks like and all of those things. I mean, I'm in sales, so all of that's really important that people see your body language and that you can read theirs, and
Yeah.
so you can read what you're gonna do next, and that's just not something you can do in like email or text message. And
Some people can. I've met a couple of people that like you read their writing, and it's a lot of people who are writers.
Yes.
And you can hear them saying these words that are
Absolutely.
on. Like I hear him saying this. Like I can read this and I hear him saying it. And he'll even have like slang spelt out. Like I don't even think to how. Like I would have to stop and be like, okay, how would you
does
how would you
spell
spell that?
that slang word?
Yeah.
I just slap a silly emoji on the end of it, and
And hope all is right with the world.
You're gonna be getting a lot of emojis then.
I might
awesome.
get an emoji for you then.
Oh no. Yeah. Well, I had so much fun. Thank y'all again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for asking us.
This
We
was
appreciate
fun.
it.
For
Sweet.
sure.
As always, tune in every Monday for another podcast. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.